Hello and welcome to the 27 presented by The Classic. We are the world's first and only student-teacher podcast on the MCU, where today we assemble once more to restore balance to the universe. I am Mr. McCaughey, and joining us today to talk about Avengers Endgame, a trio of top-notch parasites. We have Chayti, Adeola, and Amber. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah! Woo!
So what I normally do before we start recording is remind people that when I say welcome to the podcast, that you reply back as I welcome. But we got there. We got there eventually. Oh. We're in good shape. So we have two returning guests. Adeola, you were on which...
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, which was my number one for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that remained at the top of the list up until actually last week.
Wow, I think I need to run up those, listens.
Yeah, and we'll talk about my list as we go on. Amber, you were on for Thor?
Yeah.
Thor, so that's going way back, along with Namira, who's here with us in the background there. And Chayti, it is your first time on the 27. So why don't you tell our audience anything you like about you?
All right, so my name is Chayti. I am currently a junior, and I'm very excited to be on this podcast. So I started rewatching all the MCU, definitely last year during quarantine, since I had, actually 2 years ago. 2 years ago during quarantine, I kind of watched through it, and then there was a pause. I haven't watched Spider-Man yet.
The new one?
The new one. What? I will get to it.
Yeah, I don't think
I haven't watched it yet either.
Anymore.
I haven't watched the second or third one yet.
See, I'm not alone, guys.
I'm going in order.
I'm going in order, and I just need time. But
Okay.
I'm very excited to be on this episode.
We're excited to have you. You are a podcast veteran. To pull the curtain back in our voices class, you recorded an excellent podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So I basically, me and Jasmine Perez, we worked together to create a podcast called Hidden History. It's on Spotify, so check it out. It's basically about boarding schools in America, and we just dive deeper into that history. And we got really passionate about it, and I just think it's wonderful and really important to hear about our history in America.
Yeah, and these are the Indian boarding schools
Especially,
that not a lot of people know about, and they're really just sad stories, which we often talk about in all our classes. Hard history, history can be hard sometimes, but go and listen to that podcast. Was it 4 episodes?
3 episodes.
3 episodes. Yeah. So go check that out. It's really, really good. I loved the production of it and it coming out of our class. I was happy that you did that. We are here to talk about a movie for this podcast, though. This is, I just said it before we started recording, maybe the most important episode of the whole season. Yep. Because it has been a journey. This is episode number 22 to get to Endgame. And here we are to talk about it. So this movie came out back in 2019. Did anyone see this movie in the theater when it came out?
Really?
Same.
I watched that one.
My lament, my regret is that I didn't see it in the theater. Just because, having watched it, because even when it came out, I saw, on YouTube, all the audience reactions and things. I was like, oh my God, look at this. This looks intense. And now watching it, there are so many parts, I wish I had experienced live. But that was back in 2019. We can't talk about everyone who's in this movie, because everyone's in this movie. If they've been in the MCU, they're here. They'll come up in our conversation throughout. This is the number one MCU movie in terms of gross theater making money. Over $858 million just in the United States. Puts it at number one of the 27. It has made over $1.7 billion worldwide, which for a while made it the number one grossing film ever. But it got into a little bit of a petty battle with the movie Avatar and with James Cameron, who were back and forth over who was going to be the number one grossing movie. When Endgame passed Avatar, they went back and re-released Avatar. This is 7 years later in China, and it made another $300 million to jump back over it. I think it's a little cheap. I think continually releasing a movie just to stay on top. But, you know, we won't judge James Cameron, at least until the next Avatar comes out.
I've never watched the movie, actually.
You've never seen Avatar?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think
it's good.
I think it's good for
I've
the
heard
production.
like lots of people are like,
time.
"Oh my gosh, this is like the movie of the century."
So here's what was good about it. When it came out, it was like the birth and the advent. Namira's here. We've argued about. We've argued.
She was about to say
Her
something.
own film critic in her own right. But like, what made the Avatar was like, it was like the first real 3D movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I was growing up, there were 3D movies, but they're really like corny, where like they just did stunts to make it look like things were shooting out at the screen.
Yeah.
But Avatar like changed the game. It was like, you know, the IMAX 3D did all. So I think that's why it made all the money. And like the movie's fine. Like the movie's not great. I don't think. Maybe I gotta go back and watch it again. Am I wrong? Yeah. I'm upsetting a number of people in this.
I'm gonna watch it for the first time.
And when does the second one come out? December.
Oh,
My
that's
other
like
criticism was
perfect timing.
that movie came out 13 years ago, the first one. Why would it be
That's
13?
the director's thing, is he comes out with movies every like 10, 11 years.
But they have, what, 4 more left after this? 3 more? There's going to be 5 or 6?
There's still more?
Wait,
James
there's more
Cameron will be
Avatar?
dead before the last one comes out if he waits 13 years to put it out.
He will be dead.
I mean, he's in his 60s or 70s
yeah.
already. He
He's
can't
not
wait
really.
another 30 or 40 years to release him. Get them out, James Cameron. If people want to see him, just get the movies out. But either way, even if it's a good movie, the pettiness of re-releasing it to try to jump Endgame, I'm giving that thumbs up. That's it.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we always kick off with our 1-sentence summary, and this is a big one, so we'll jump into this. After the devastating events of Infinity War, the universe is in ruins. With the help of remaining allies, the Avengers assemble once more in order to reverse Thanos' actions and restore balance to the universe. So here we go. Like I said, no pressure. Big episode, a lot of stuff to talk about here. And Chayti, since you are a first-time guest here, tell us your thoughts about Avengers Endgame.
Ooh, okay. I thought it was really beautiful in every aspect because, like, everyone was so involved. Oh, wait, is this supposed to be, like, one sentence? Or
No, that's sorry. I always kick it off with just, the one set the scene, but you can as many sentences as you want.
Awesome. So I think it's just, overall, I think it's, like, for me, because
Chef kiss. Just that good.
Basically, it was that good. Because everyone's here, everyone's part of this movie, and I think that's really nice to see all the actors, actresses getting together and just be able to produce this. Also, I think 2019, I feel like that was also such a perfect year for me. I loved it, and it just was like a ideal year. So just that coming out during that year just also adds on. It's just like a good experience to watch it.
What made 2019 such a perfect year for you?
I graduated that
Big
year
one.
as an 8th grade, and then I went to Bangladesh, and I
Okay.
didn't see. So it's been like 10 years since I saw my family in Bangladesh. So it was really nice seeing them. And then I started Townsend.
I was going to say you were accepted
Yeah,
too, and
I
then
got-
started Townsend.
Yeah, so I thought it was really nice too.
So interesting. This has popped up in a few episodes. Just the idea of like your feeling towards a movie, like can also be impacted by like where you are in your life when you
Right.
see it. So that's really interesting to hear. Amber, Endgame.
Oh my. So I remember all of the hype around it. Like, I went off of like every social media app. I deleted like YouTube because I was trying not
All
to
the
get
spoilers or all the
And I went on like vacation to Canada. So when I came back, like the day after, I went to go see the movie with like my family, and the memes afterwards, it was crazy. Like the next day at school, like everyone was spoiling stuff for each other. Everyone was so mean.
It's not right.
Like it was not fair to other people who haven't watched it yet. But the hype around that movie, and then I dragged Namira to watch it again for the second time. It was so good because like the crowd and the hype, and it's like a culmination of like decades of hard work.
Yeah. And even like one of the things I loved about it is now doing all these in order, it is the culmination of like all these movies kind of leading up to it. Whatever knowledge you've gained, whatever experiences you've had watching it, now all come together in this one movie. Absolutely. Adeola?
For me, 2019 was a good year. And when I went to go watch it, I think it was a school trip. Actually, we had done Infinity War like the year before.
For the school trip?
Yeah, for the school trip.
That.
And then
shout out to that teacher.
Yeah, Endgame. And it was just like something else to watch it in movie theaters, because like there was like certain scenes where like I usually don't like when people talk in movie theaters, but I just enjoyed it when like there was like fan reactions to like, you know, seeing certain scenes. And like it was kind of like coming to a close, like, because you know like how they have like phase 3, phase 4, like so like they were kind of like closing on like a like decade long you know, culmination, like we said, of like all this hard work and dedication put into like these movies. It was like kind of a bittersweet moment, because like there's a lot of characters there that I know I won't be seeing in like the future series coming out, but I really did enjoy it when it first came out.
Yeah, and to go through the movie itself, like I think one of the big themes here, and this has come up in many episodes, is the evolution of Tony Stark, right? And this is after we see Barton's family get Thanos, right? Where they're out having their family picnic. We then go back to the ship that we had seen at the end of Infinity War, which even go back to that, like, the end of Infinity War is like traumatic. It's like a heavy thing.
I cried at the end.
Yeah.
I could not hold it in. Tom Holland's acting.
That was this, like, it's sad when it happens to everyone, but him in particular.
Yeah, I was like,
he acted the heck out of it.
Yeah, it was really good, and it was just like when the screen went black, it was like, that's it. That's seriously how this movie ended. It ended on such like a down of like, geez. And I'm knowing Endgame is on the way, that things will be kind of rectified, but still pretty tough. And we continue. Now we start on the ship, and again, like, Tony's close to death here. He looks terrible. He's very he's almost emaciated. He's sending messages home expecting to die. He's there with Nebula. They have no hope until Captain Marvel shows up, who is like the, you know, is she the most powerful of all of these superheroes? That's a horror. I gotta go here. Anyway, because that was like a real.
I'm such a, like, after seeing like WandaVision, I'm such a Multiverse of Madness.
Here we go.
I'm such a Wanda apologist, and I love her so much. And like, you have to see Multiverse of Madness to understand why she's like.
I haven't even watched it.
I haven't
Please.
watched it.
Okay, I've loved
Tony
Wanda.
Stark dies at the end of it.
Loved WandaVision. Honestly, Wanda could do no wrong in my eyes. But that's the thing with Wanda fans. They think Wanda can do no wrong, even though we know what happens at the end of WandaVision.
I don't.
Oh.
Me neither.
Oh.
Well, whatever happens. You out there might know.
Yeah.
So you continue with that, but.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, with the whole like Captain Marvel, Wanda, Doctor Strange, like, who's the strongest Avenger? I feel like, you know, they all have like such a specific set of abilities and like things that they can do. I feel like setting them against each other, it's not really going to work out in the end, because like people like to throw in like the comics and the movies and all these abilities. And, you know, let's just all accept that we like this character. We think this character may be the strongest. They may not be, but, you know, that's everyone's opinion.
Fair.
Yeah.
When we've done the Iron Man movies on the podcast, I have very strong feelings about Tony. I'm not a big Tony Stark guy. The arrogance, the like, and it runs through all of them. Then you get to Ultron. He's essentially responsible for everything that happens in that. You get to Civil War. Now I begin to turn towards Tony in Civil War because I've also been throughout the season very critical of when the Avengers would just destroy everything and then just be like, okay, sorry, like, and like, oh, you just destroyed it, and then you're out. So I kind of, the Sokovia Accords, I'm not fully on board with, but I get the idea behind it, that these people can't go around destroying the world.
Came in on the Civil War episode.
I know, the Civil War episode. That's up on the classic YouTube channel. You can check that out there. But finally, with this progression, I think I've come full circle. Well, I guess it wouldn't be full circle, because I mean, I still wouldn't like him. But I kind of turned on Tony here, where I started to like him in this movie, and all it took was all his friends dying, and then him, being stuck on the ship there. Particularly, we talked about the sadness of when Peter Parker disappears at the end of Infinity. Tony has a line, he goes, I lost the kid. And like, just that like real like emotion of, he felt, as he should have, felt a responsibility for Peter. Now, we could blame Peter from Infinity War. He could have gone home Tony tried to send him home. Tony blew him off the ship, but he did his thing there. But I kind of came around on this. I don't know. Any Tony Stark thoughts here?
I kind of have to disagree. Looking at the beginning of Endgame, we see the 5 years later, the time skip, and we see everyone living their lives trying to manage. Now, Tony here, has his nice little cabin in the woods, has his nice wife, has his nice kids. And then when, the remainder of the Avengers come to him and they're saying, there's a chance of us going back and correcting our mistake. He's very skeptical at the beginning. He's like, I already like what I have. But I feel like that was a very selfish, thought to even think in the first place. In these 5 years, he can see that almost everyone had greatly suffered from the effects of the blip. And he's kind of living it up on his own. He has a daughter, he has his wife. He wasn't of course he was affected by the blip, but not as severely compared to the others. So the fact in itself that he didn't even want to go ahead with the plan, he eventually came around. I get that, but the initial thought of not even wanting to go and save the billions that were blipped away is what really got me, because he's been selfish throughout the seasons. But that was I think the most selfish thing that I feel like any human being could have thought,
And he seems a little bitter because he cites Ultron. He's like, I had a plan to stop this, but I have it in quotes here, your precious freedoms got in the way. That so maybe he just feels that bitterness of I tried to do something here, y'all stopped me from doing it. Yeah. Now hands off. I don't know, Chayti, anything else?
I could see your point. I could see your point, but at the time, he has a daughter. It's his kind of his life right there. He didn't want to risk anything, so I could see why he was being selfish for that reason. But he did come around. I think that, seeing his daughter and his family and realize there's people that actually lost it, and I think that's what inspired him to kind of create that model. That one night where he was sitting down at his kitchen table. He's like, okay, it's okay if this fails. But then he saw it was successful, and I feel he's shocked, and he goes, that's where. And then his daughter's right there, and then it's just such a bonding moment, and it was so heartfelt. It's oh, something good is gonna come out, and the fact that he could have just taken that model and just be oh, just throwing it out. But he brought it to them.
But I mean, think about it. This is
he came around.
He came around, but this is 5 years. Everyone this is 5 years of him living his own life. It wasn't until they what's his name, Ant-Man finally comes out of the quantum realm and stuff like that,
and he has the idea.
But it's in those 5 years, and this goes back to the Avengers are more so co-workers than family, even though it's kind of disproven in this movie, but in the previous movies it's they weren't really there for each other in those 5 years. They really even Thor
we'll talk about Thor.
But it's you'll see they all kind of went off on their own, even though this was a time where they should have really been there for each other. Stuck together instead of separating. Yeah. But I do see your point.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe
because Clint, he went off to Japan or something. Yeah. And became the Ronin.
Full-blown psycho.
Yeah.
I
was confused. Nobody talked about that as much.
Have you seen Hawkeye?
I watched Hawkeye.
Yeah, exactly. Comes back.
It comes back to haunt him
people
and think it's not gonna come back to
you. I could see an issue just watching where how quickly he just kind of goes back. He seems to when they describe the killings he does, and then when you even see him, and then he's just okay, I'm ready to go back and do it.
What just happened?
But
the whole scene, when they were trying to recruit the Avengers team.
Yeah.
I was so confused what was happening, because all of a sudden we're in Japan, and then I just see buildings falling, and then I just see Natasha holding an umbrella. I was you ready?
There she is.
Or something like that, and then it's just him revealing his face. I was I could have not told that was.
Personally, the haircut was not it for me.
Really?
I wasn't feeling the hair.
The haircut was the one.
Maybe I'm having really strong. Okay, the first time I watched it, I ignored all this stuff. Then the second rewatching, I was wait a minute, this is a bit off. I just feel I understand why they were going for that, revenge, avenge my family type look. It just didn't suit him. I don't know. I didn't really like the look of it.
With Tony, I think, so you brought it up that he figures out how to, do the time travel after Scott comes up with this idea. And then he has these like heartfelt conversations with Pepper. The idea that she says, one of the failures of my life was slowing you down. Like, you can rest now, but like, would you rest? And the answer is no. He knows he can't stop. But where I've really turned on him is it's finally not about him. He's being driven by something other than him, whether it's Peter, whether it's getting his friends back. And to boot, now he has so much more to lose because he has a daughter, because he kind of had his lake house and everything, but he's still willing to do it. So I think that was my turn for me. That right there, that it's finally not about him. It's about other people, while at the same time he has more to lose than ever before. You brought up interesting that, like, what are they doing during these 5 years? We see Captain America is in like a grief group there. It seems like
Russo brothers.
oh, is that? Are they in there?
Oh my gosh.
Ah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
We talked about the Russo brothers kind of being like the gold standard here for the movies that they ended up directing. So that's really interesting. It seems like Natalia is the one that's maybe the most dedicated to like still trying to fight. Like, she's kind of still in the headquarters. She's still tracking things, but they do kind of go their own way. You know,
they do. Yeah.
Can you blame them after?
Wait, is it Natalia or Natasha?
Oh, Natasha. Sorry, Natalia.
Character.
See, that's why I should just call him Black Widow, because notice I said Captain America because I blanked on Steve. But
Sorry.
Can you? No, you gotta correct me. Can you blame them for going away?
I can't blame them, but it's like, like, it's like several situations where you see, like, they're supposed to be there for each other. You guys claim your family. Family's always there through the thick and thin. Like, let's go back a little bit even further. When, like, Hulk first became Hulk and he was, like, going through it. He is not at the level of peace that he is in this movie. And, he talked about suicide and, like, all the attempts that he made on, like, killing himself. And, like, everyone just brushed that off. Like,
it was, like, one line. And
just
that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was literally it in the movie. And I was like, guys, come on. And then with, like, I'm sorry, I keep using Thor in this. Like, he really fell off in this movie. But in the fat joke, I kind of found, like, you could have represented any other way of showing that, like, he was really going through it. Like, he lost everything, family, kingdom, his, like, I feel like the fat joke was kind of unnecessary. But it's like Thor, he was drinking his life away, basically, and, playing Fortnite. Like, I feel like that's a really low.
Yeah.
That's the bear.
And it's like, when they finally, like, find a solution, they come and get him. But it's like, you guys only come when it's needed. But it's like, family isn't, well, to me personally, family isn't like that. Like, it maybe in between those 5 years, if they had, like, checked on him, try to see if there was any way that they can help him, because Thor has been through a lot. We all know that.
Especially Ragnarok. I mean, leading up to Ragnarok, definitely. I mean, just being in Dark World was painful enough, I'm sure, for Thor.
Like, honestly, of all the his no, I feel like the one death that, like, I personally found funny was his father. Like, he literally just dipped when everything went to come.
And that's it. And he's like scattered to the wind too. Yeah, he loses his mom in Dark World. I mean, just being Loki's brother has got to be a lot. It's a lot of mental gymnastics just to try to figure out those relationships. And then, Odin dies. And then, his entire
kingdom
is destroyed. But I want to give a shout out to the people of New Asgard who go and, like, they literally...
Valkyrie!
Yeah, Valkyrie's good. They legit, like... did it again. They got it together and they did it. I would actually be interested in, I don't know if I watch a full movie on New Asgard, but like a short or something, just to kind of see, because, like, it's impressive. Everything is destroyed. They're not from Earth, by the way, yet they come here and they, figure those things out. When you talk about, like, Fat Thor, like, it has, like, the comedic element to it. It's kind of like, but what I noticed was, like, his physical state matches his mental state. Like, it is like a full representation of, like, how kind of wrecked he is. And yes, he does end up playing Fortnite with Meek and Korg there.
So funny.
So funny. Oh my gosh.
I'm quite fine right here.
And Korg is the director of Ragnarok and voiced by the director of Ragnarok, and now Love and Thunder that's coming out. That's I can't remember his name right now.
So it's starting to connect. Yeah.
Amber, anything on Thor and his life in New Asgard, or what he's kind of bailed on his people? He's kind of given up on everything.
I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna do for Love and Thunder because, like in Love and Thunder, I don't know if have you seen the trailer?
Yes.
They're bringing back Jane.
Jane
Yeah.
looks. I'm sorry.
And then Valkyrie.
Oh, I have not.
Do you like Jane?
Jane
heard
in the
mixed reactions on
first two
Jane.
movies. She really had like no personality, honestly. Like I feel like the chemistry between her and Thor was like not really there. I'm sorry, like the first two Thor movies I've like erased from my mind. It's only like Ragnarok and Love and Thunder that I'm really focused on. But seeing her in the trailer, like the step up from those two movies to now, it's such. And I'm sorry, I'm a big fan of Muscle. She looks incredibly good in that trailer.
Okay, I gotta watch this trailer.
Amber, what else about Thor?
Oh, I don't even know what they're gonna do for the movie for like Asgard and like what they're gonna. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm like at a loss of words.
I'm excited for that movie to come out. That'll be. I will need to see Multiverse of Madness as kind of like the 28th in the order, and then go for I think that order itself will work out. Someone mentioned Banner before. I have a habit of having my closed captioning on when watching things. And Banner, like Hulk, he's referred to as Smart Hulk.
Oh,
like that's his name in it. It's
captions,
smart, but it just like cracked me up. I'm like, he's finally figured out how to like live peacefully.
So there's like 4 different people. So it's like, there's Bruce.
Yeah.
There's Banner.
Wait.
What's the difference?
Is there a difference?
No, isn't Bruce and Banner the same?
They're the same.
Okay, let's
Bruce Banner, I think.
Bruce Banner, yeah.
Because I think Banner is a nickname, is it not?
Oh.
Well, I think
I'm confused.
if I were gonna break Bruce Banner down, I think you have Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Then you have the Hulk.
Yeah.
He's different after in Ragnarok when he's the Hulk for 2 years, and he's like just very different. He's very like aloof a little bit in Ragnarok, and then he transforms into this like just living as this middle smart Hulk type person. But one of the biggest things he does here is he kind of disproves what is generally known as like the butterfly effect, right? The idea of like if you like Back to the Future, which is also funny, they like cite everything just from like movies of like anything that deals with the future. I wrote this down and I still need to say it slowly. This is Banner's theory on time travel. When you travel, the past becomes your future.
Yeah.
Your present becomes your past,
Yeah.
which can't be changed by your future. So like when you go,
I
stopped and I was like, hold on, I gotta write it down.
Pause it at each like moment that he said it.
Okay.
Basically, do you want to explain?
No. You
okay. So basically, the way he explained it, when you let's look at this.
To a 5-year-old.
Okay.
Just break it down.
Or a social studies
time
teacher.
travel for 5-year-olds. Okay, let's say you want to time travel, right? We're going back to the past. That present that was there, that is now your past, right?
Yep.
And now you're in the future. Wait, Lord, I already got confused. I'm sorry. We're going back in the past. You're in the past. That present now becomes the past because you are in the past, but that, Lord.
See? But the basic idea is like you can't change your past with your future. So once you go into the future, that's your present.
Yeah.
Or once you travel through time, right? And then like you can't change your past with your future. The past has happened.
Yeah.
So then you can't change it.
Done. Yeah.
That was like me watching Loki because that show was so
Oh
confusing.
my gosh, yes.
That show took like the life out of me. I was so confused, but they go into time travel about that too.
It's an interesting theory because generally speaking in movies and TV, it's that idea of like you can't interact with yourself if you travel back in time because that way things will totally get thrown off. But Banner brings up something different now. The Ancient One. So now let's talk about time travel. So now they figure it out, right? Which, by the way, another exciting thing for me. If you listen to the podcast, every episode starts with a clip from Endgame where they're now going into the time machine. So to hear that live in the movie, because I just randomly picked it when I started the podcast. I was like, YouTube, famous scene, Endgame. I was like, that'll be good enough. So then they do go back in time and they need to collect the stones, right? And they realize that New York in 2012, Battle in New York, there are multiple stones there. The Tesseract's there, the Mind Stone's there, and the Time Stone?
Time Stone, yeah.
The Time Stone, right?
Yeah.
So they all split up. Banner goes to the Sanctum, where Doctor Strange will end up. He meets the Ancient One, and he needs to convince her, essentially, to give it. So to go to where you can't change the past, she informs him that, like, the Time Stone needs to go back because if it doesn't go back, then that's going to throw off that whole universe there, that whole timeline, which the Avengers kind of worked to save right there. Man, sometimes talking about time travel, I just lose my train of thought. It's a lot going on there. But this ends up, the question is like, in Infinity War, why does Doctor Strange so willingly hand over the Time Stone to Thanos? He just gives it to him. Yeah. And the Ancient One can't understand it when Banner tells him. So there's the question, why does he? Do you know? I think I figured this out. I don't think it's...
Do you want to?
Didn't he say it's like the only way? Like the one in like...
One in
like
14 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like seeing that process go through and that this is the only way it's going to work is that if he gets the Time Stone. But they still need to be able to return the Time Stone after that, which Captain America does end up doing. You want to talk about that, I think. Captain America traveling back in time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm gonna hold you there. I'm just giving the reminder, just because as I have my notes. Yeah. But what happens with all this time travel is now Thanos finds out what's going on.
Oh yeah.
So now the race is on. Anything about what happens in New York, or the timeline here, or the chase for the Infinity Stones?
Well, there were like. What was it? What war was going on? I think when they went to that time travel.
So that's the Battle in New York. That's the original Avengers movie. That's Avengers 1.
Yeah, that's when everything was being chaotic.
Yes.
And then when I remember, I was like, so I noticed that their past self or was there.
Yes.
And then they're also there.
Yes.
And then like. I don't know. I don't remember recalling. Do they meet ever?
No, it was Captain America meets himself, and then they start fighting.
That was such a funny scene.
Okay, I remember that.
Well, then even thinking back to the original, is any of this in the original Avengers? I know they don't fight each other, but even like the fact that Loki disappears with the Tesseract, or was it Loki?
Yeah, it was Loki. He took the thing and just...
And then he falls back into it, which then leads where then now they have to figure out how else to get it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if any of that was in the Avengers.
I think they hinted towards Captain America and the elevator and the Hydra thing. Yeah, they hinted towards that because Hydra is a whole big thing. Yeah. But my favorite scene was when the two Captain Americas were fighting, and then the past Captain America was like, I can do this all day, and then he was I know. That was so funny to me.
That's one of the great things about watching this is I guess will be referred to as fan service. Just the amount of little things that are in there. That scene you just talked about where they're in the elevator.
Oh yeah.
That reminded me of I felt like that was the scene in Winter Soldier.
When they fight in the
elevator.
Where he's going down in the elevator and he knows that they're kind of onto him. So that's definitely one of those things that gets pops up there. He also gets his original shield back from Tony, which goes back to the very first movie of the 27, which was Captain America: The First Avenger, when Howard Stark gives it to him. And then, of course, we have the battle in New York. We have that elevator scene that I just mentioned as well. Looking at my notes, I've never had so many notes on any of these movies. There's a tremendous amount here. They end up, once Loki disappears, they need to now figure out how to get it, and they end up in New Jersey at the army base where they get these things. Adeola, anything about the scene with Tony and his dad?
Actually, do you guys know the show Agent Carter? No?
Yeah. What actually?
It's not a very popular Marvel show, but basically it goes into Howard Stark, Peggy Carter,
Peggy?
and briefly Captain America, for the time that he was there. And in that show, you get to learn a lot more about Howard Stark and his personality. And when I watched the movie, it was to lots of people it seemed like Iron Man kind of turned out like his father, and then in that scene I remember Howard was I just hope he doesn't turn out like me. And then Tony was why would that be such a terrible thing? And I don't remember what he said specifically, but basically it would just be regrettable for the same mistake to repeat. I feel that was kind of the touching moment that Tony probably needed while Howard was still alive, and I wish that would have been able to happen, but what happens. I feel that was for me I'm kind of an avid Tony Stark hater, but that scene was really heartwarming to me. I feel that was the most authentic, genuine scene between a father and son.
And just as we talk about now, what I was saying about Tony before, I feel this I'm thinking more and more so like how central Tony Stark is and Iron Man is to the whole series, right? It's the first one that comes out like in real time. And then, like, we have this whole scene with his dad. It seems like the whole movie, a lot of the movie is almost like, not like a love letter to Tony Stark, but it's something like it really puts him at the forefront in terms of being important. I really like that scene, especially as a dad. Yeah. But also, my critique of that is, like, he's having such a detailed conversation with this total stranger.
Oh, man.
It's just like, well, that too, that he's got to go. But I'm just more like, I would never talk to, like, oh, hi, random person that was in this life. Here's, like, my whole dark past. Not dark past. Yeah, my whole life.
He cares, because at this point, I feel like he's, like, always been talking about his dad and, like, always regretting, especially, like, in Civil War. So, you know what? What does he have to lose?
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
This random person.
Just go with it. Yeah, not a bad call there. Like Gamora, Gamora. I always say Gamora. It's Gamora. I always try to give myself the biblical reference. You know, Sodom and Gomorrah. Like that's in the.
Yeah, that was a new character. I was like.
So that's that's another. It's a whole other thing, and I always make that mistake, and I just made it again. Gamora, like Gamora before her, Natasha pays for the Soul Stone with her life. Any thoughts, Chayti? Any thoughts on that scene?
Oh, emotional. Just like, I don't know, before when I watched the movie, sorry.
I thought you were still being emotional. I thought these were tears for...
My allergies are really getting into it. I just lost my track. Oh, okay. So, just to go before it, like, just Gamora being, taken for the Soul Stone?
Soul Stone, yeah.
Soul Stone.
Give a soul to get the soul.
Right, like when Thanos just like...
Yeah, his own daughter.
That was really really heartbreaking to see, like, oh wow, just that the father really just pushed.
Yeah, right off.
Like, I could tell Thanos was really hurt, but he didn't care that much. But in this case, when Natasha gave her own life, like, I feel that was really heartbreaking, because, like, I think Hawkeye was there too.
They both thought.
Yeah,
they both thought they were the ones who were gonna die.
Yeah.
They're like, but. Then they have this kind of like, that's almost
when
battle.
She just like was falling, and then Hawkeye was just like,
so sad.
It's just like the whole scene and everything.
It's so sad where, in a movie where people come back to life, there are people who cannot come back to life.
Yeah.
With Gamora being there, with Natasha, geez, I'm the worst. Natasha being there as well, that the fact that they're not going to come back.
I feel like with Natasha, like, you know how, like, with the whole, like, Black Widow thing, like, she's murdered a lot of people, like, she's infertile, she'll never be able to have kids. I feel like they, like, did that because, his name is Clint, right? Yeah. Clint, like, he has a family to go back to and stuff like that, so it's kind of, I don't know the specific word for it, but, like, they killed her off. Even though she survived way worse, they killed her off because, like, she has, like, a lot less to lose compared to, like, Clint and stuff like that. Oh, I love their relationship, actually. Yes, her sister.
My God.
She was so funny in Black Widow.
Their interactions, the whole family interactions in Black Widow, but them in particular. But this also gives insight. This is the post-credit scene in Black Widow, her grave.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't seen this, so, like, obviously it's like, oh, okay, she died. But trying to finding out how she died. But I wonder what that story is and where we'll get her. Because in that post-credit scene, like, we're going to find the man who killed her.
You have to watch Captain
Barton.
America. Winter's... What is it? No, sorry.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's a great show. I
love that
great show.
I'm looking forward to it. And we see the birth of that in this at the end when Steve passes along the shield.
Oh, don't even.
So now we get to, when I talk about, like, seeing, YouTube clips or anything, the big scene. The end. With the big battle. Now, try to teach me here. Where were all of they? All of them?
The headquarters.
Yeah, the compound.
No, sorry. When they come back through the Doctor Strange portals or whatever, like, where had they... When you get Thanos, what happens to you?
You literally return exactly where you had been stabbed from. So this is from all over the place. Like, what's it called?
WandaVision, when in the hospital.
Yeah, in the hospital. Oh, yeah.
Or like
sorry. No, you
in, like, Hawkeye, too, when... Because, I don't know if you know... when Yelena gets blipped.
Oh, you didn't know that.
So she gets blipped, so she comes back in Hawkeye too, and she's like right there. in WandaVision too.
Yeah.
But so many of them got flipped in Wakanda at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah, he literally did just a portal back. Like you,
so,
you can see it in
okay,
the
right,
background.
and that's what. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I got
that's
you.
why
I
there were
got
so
you now.
many portals, because it was like from all over the place.
Gotcha. When watching it, it was like saying to myself, like, "Oh my God, I'm watching the thing. Like
Yeah.
this
This is
is like the
Yeah.
thing I've
It's
seen so
happening.
much of. It's
It's
happening. It really was
happening.
that.
Forget
And
it's
I almost
happening.
like
It's happening.
wasn't
It's
ready for it. Where I was just kind of watching. I was like, "Oh wait, this is the moment. This is the moment." Before that, Captain America is fighting Thanos. And this is one of the big scenes that I think the pop
yes.
when he is worthy and he gets.
The
I've never
screams
said it's
in
like
the theater
Mjolnir.
when I
From
first
me?
watched it, from me, from everyone else, like literally when we saw it, and nobody even need to like see Captain America in like the screen to know that it was gonna be him that was gonna wield it.
Because he was also picking it up in Age of
Yeah,
Ultron too,
but
that
then
one scene.
Thor like tried to play it off. Man, he was wrong for that actually.
I love that scene in Age of Ultron because there's such worry in Thor's face when they're all
Yeah,
trying.
yeah.
He's like, I hope no one else can pick it up because like that's kind of my thing. That takes away from him. What makes him worthy? Do you think? I don't know. Why him?
Oh God.
I think he's just very pure. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's just
His
so.
selflessness.
Yeah.
Mm.
Him and Bucky, like his friendship in Civil War, like willing to like
Yeah, he's really
risk
loyal.
everything.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm contradicting myself. I redact the loyalty thing. Just ignore that I said that.
Well, when I hear selflessness, I think in Civil War he's very selfish. Sometimes I think he's just too hyper focused on Bucky and saving Bucky. But hey, the hammer decides, and the hammer decided that he was worthy. They all come back through, literally all of them. I'm not trying to be a hater here. Why is Pepper there?
Why was Oh my gosh!
She's
Thank
never-
you for bringing it up.
The,
She
o-
does-
Yeah.
the only time she has any gear on is in Iron Man 2 when they, or 3, where they blow up his house, and
Yeah,
to
and she
save
makes
her,
her-
he
she
puts
puts
the
it
gear
on,
on her.
yeah.
But like she never fights in it, or it seemed unnecessary.
Where was she to begin with?
Was she still at the lake
I
house?
think they were like, cause you remember like the whole like girl power like moment where they like
yeah. Oh,
had
that's where
all
she
the-
got her.
Yes,
Yeah.
that I feel like that was the main reason they included her. Personally, I feel like it was very performative. They did it in
Yes.
Infinity War 2. You don't do it with the guys, so why do you feel?
And there's enough
Yeah.
girl power there with like who is there between
Right.
Wanda and Captain Marvel and Natasha. Like they're all doing their thing.
Actually,
It's just like
Wanda's hit on Thanos, I like that. I just like feel bad because like Thanos like he didn't even like look twice when he killed Vision, and so like Wanda that did like a
no.
whole onset of like
He
catastrophic things.
caused so many problems.
So many problems without even
Yo, that
realizing
one,
it.
That one robot, like Android, causing so many problems in the multiverse.
Yeah.
And also like Natasha like killing her, and then the girl boss scene
Yeah.
of her not even being there when she was like one of
Huh.
the like the original 6. I guess that
this
kind
is
of
a
like
big
annoyed me.
theme too. So my apologies to the 2 people who might listen to this podcast regularly, but I always bring up the like hate towards Captain Marvel. Some people said was the fact that people wanted Black Widow to be the first female-led movie and everything, and she does seem to be disrespected there as well. Interesting. Educate me on this. They get the glove, right?
Yeah.
When a bad guy snaps, good guys die. When a good guy snaps, bad guys die. Is that what I'm supposed to believe?
I think
Because that's what happens,
snaps.
right? They get the glove on, and Tony, right? Does this
Yeah,
Tony do it? When
Tony,
he snaps, and then that's what leads to Thanos getting blipped and all his people getting blipped. I mean, I'm just assuming that.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
feel like with all the stones like in collection, it's kind of more so like whatever you desire will come true. Like because you literally have like the universe in your palm. So like yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's
That makes
what your
sense.
intention is
Yeah.
with
Is,
those
yeah.
stones.
Yeah, I was kind of confused too on that. Like,
You just
I was like, half the people. Are they getting the people back? But that makes sense. Like, you have so much power.
in
Like,
your
what can you
hands.
not do with the stone? So
Well, this snap is this is what kills Tony, essentially, right? This is what kind of takes everything out of him. Pepper's there to console him. Maybe that's why she's there. Maybe they just need to find a way to get her there to give these like last words. And she says like, really sad, we're gonna be okay. You can rest now. And like that, and then he dies. And then important life lesson here. Tony says part of the journey is the end. And that's, we don't always like the end, but that is part of the journey. And he dies. Amber, in the theater, the 2 times you saw it, the reaction was there any thought? I knew he was going to die Because I think, was there any idea that he was going to die?
I had no idea. I went off social media. I went on like a cleanse for like a month. I had no idea. I was in shock.
So then what was the crowd reaction?
Like I heard sniffles.
Yeah.
I heard tears. I heard tears were streaming down my face because it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the feeling of walking out afterwards, everyone was silent because people were expecting an end credit scene. No end credit scene.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there.
Yeah, there was no end credit in this.
Tears in my face. Okay, I'm waiting.
I feel like, well, what's funny, there's no formal kind of end credit scenes, but I feel like that's where the movie ends. And I feel like everything after that are just end credit scenes that aren't after the credits.
Yeah.
We have Thor getting on the ship. As Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the great lines, which is then in the Love and Thunder trailer, that part is referenced there. We see Captain America. Okay, so now, Adeola, here we go. Your thoughts on Captain America. He gets to live life. He gets to live life.
Okay.
Go for it.
We talked about, I redacted my, selflessness. Because you see, you mentioned it yourself, how he was so hyper-focused on, protecting Bucky and everything, right? So, and I've, spoken about this with Scarlett, too. How is it that, I understand, he loves Peggy very, very much. But this is, what? Maybe a month that you spent with her?
Yes.
You are throwing away your life that you've established, and I understand he wants to go back to the past. The life that you've established in the future, your friend that you've sworn loyalty to and gone through hell and back for him because of a fudging kiss. It just it's mind-boggling to me.
Now, in his defense, sorry to interrupt. Pre-super serum Steve is like a weenie. He's got nothing going for him. So the fact that a girl likes him is of course that's what happens. You fall deeply in love with this girl who's the only girl.
He could literally have anyone that he wanted in the future.
True.
He even went after Peggy's niece.
Yeah, niece.
That was a whole weird. That was weird and unnecessary.
What?
So that was in Winter Soldier. She was the undercover SHIELD operative who was living across
and
the
then
hall.
he just left her in the dust too.
After the funeral?
After the funeral. Literally after the funeral. You're saying this is the love of your life and you go and kiss her niece?
Yeah, that's
Wow,
a
that's
low. That's very low. And then on top of that,
unconscious.
at the very bare minimum, they could have made Old Man America at least slightly attractive for fans. For the fans.
Wow.
But no, it's just the wrinkly. They might as well have killed him off too. I'm going that far.
I ship him in Black Widow, but I know in the comics he ends up with Bucky. No, she ends up with Bucky. So there was a lot
really.
Yeah.
I did not see
Natasha
that.
and Bucky?
I see that.
I could look see it.
No, but I can see Natasha with that. I'm sorry. She has a very flirty if you even for a good while, I thought it was going to be her and Hulk. I forgot. There was
don't even talk about her.
But then they just they never continued it in the other movies. So I was like, what happened to all that? But I'm sorry, going back to Captain America. It's just his ideals are on doing everything for others, Bucky, he has very strong ideals. And yes, I understand this is his last time to be selfish, to live out the life that he always wanted. But there's another point I didn't even mention. In Agent Carter, did you guys know that Peggy had actually moved on? She found another significant other in the show, went on to have kids as well that they didn't show them.
I mean, he was in the ice for so long.
Yeah, I'm come on, man.
Almost.
She moved on.
She and the guy that she moved on to, yes. But that's I feel like it was a very unfair decision. Of course Peggy would be okay with it, but it's she moved on. She lived her life. You went to her funeral. You kissed her niece.
Yeah.
Do you really feel so deeply attached to the past? And then on top of that, he left Bucky. That's another thing that got me. You went to hell and back for this man, only to end up going back in the past, leaving
Bucky alone.
And you can see how messed up he is.
Yes, very messed up without.
He's just sitting on the floor.
He literally pulled an Odin. He pulled an Odin on Bucky and Sam.
Yeah, I find which movie does Peggy die in? Is it Civil War or Ultron?
It's Civil War, yeah, because that's at the very beginning.
That's when he kisses Shannon.
Yeah.
Just even that idea of him being so obsessed with her. I have in my notes, I think it's so corny when they're back in New Jersey and he goes into her office and he looks around
at her.
Right?
Peggy ain't even looking for him.
Yeah, I had no time for that. He goes back in time. I saw an interesting, just doing some research, some fan theories that Old Man Steve is actually one of the people who carries Peggy's casket. In addition to young Steve, if you go back and look at the scene is framed out, and the man that's in the front left carrying the casket has the exact hair as Old Man Steve.
That would be
so that he might have been there, which might speak to his obsession with Peggy. But we see the birth of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The shield is passed along. And the movie ends kind of where it started with Steve and Peggy, which I don't know if and when I say where it started in terms of it is the first chronologically. Yeah. This is the beginning, he's the first Avenger, even though they're not Avengers at that point. He's the first one. And they end up, dancing. Any thoughts on the end? The end.
It was sweet.
It was sweet.
But if you go into it.
Yeah. It's
not so much. I just need to throw out, because I made my list of fan service things. I mentioned a couple of these things here. I love Scott's love of Captain America that we first saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I love Scott.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, he refers to him as Cap, and they're like, can you just call him Cap? But we still see that love there. Thor, I think this was the ultimate wink and nod to Marvel fans. Thor giving in detail the plot of Dark World, which I'm pretty sure everyone hates. But when he's giving the background on the ether and he really describes the whole plot of this movie, which people hate, I think that was a little something there. Future, let me see if I can get to Captain America, says to past Captain America, he says, Bucky is alive, which distracts him there. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing that distracts Captain America in Civil War, which almost gets him killed when Wanda saves him from the explosion. So that's a shout out there. Opening scene of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is excellent, is recreated there with the extra comedy of you don't hear the music, you just hear him singing it. Hats and sunglasses. That's how you hide from people. That's what I learned from watching all these movies.
Yeah.
So many, whether it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Captain America always has.
And it works.
It does.
In Spider-Man Homecoming, when Peter gets the new suit, do you want to engage instant kill? Well, it's and that is in this movie where he actually does activate instant kill on it. So that's a throwback there. Captain Marvel, they show flying through a ship, which is very reminiscent of what happened in the Captain Marvel movie. I am Iron Man. Emotional thinking about Tony dying there, but he has it there. Proof that Tony Stark has a heart. The original arc reactor going out into the lake. And then his daughter's love of cheeseburgers, which when Tony gets out of his prison and he goes and he gives the first press conference, he shows up with a bag of cheeseburgers because he loved cheeseburgers. Any final thoughts before we try to drop in our I'll give my ranking. You can talk about Endgame. Anything else? And did we miss anything?
Well, I gotta check my notes.
Just for Scarlett, because I told her I would speak about it. The fan service for Captain America's butt. I swear they did something. Tailored the suit so that it's perfectly
his butt. You said. I thought you said his butt.
Yeah.
She did.
You guys can't disagree. Come on. Exactly. Come on.
That's how I know Captain America is not Irish, because Irish people don't have butts like that. So there's a whole other... I'm going to go home and look this up now. Is there anything...
No, seriously, there was a joke. I'm not going to say the word, but it was America's A word. Scott said it. He was that's America's A word.
He does
there.
that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So you threw that in for Scarlett. I forget, Scarlett, was she... Cap or you got to go back and you can listen to it, but you have to watch on the classic YouTube channel. Scarlett and Rebecca, they're sitting across from me, and all of a sudden I was no longer in the room. They were just turned and screaming at each other in a friendly way. But it was excellent. Anything else, Chayti? You have your notes there.
Okay, so the way I was trying to write it is more Captain Marvel saves Iron Man and carries the entire ship by herself.
Yes.
I thought she was kind of slaying over there. Oh my god, she just saved Iron Man. Awesome. And then I thought it was heartwarming that a small reunion where Tony comes out, but I lost the kid. But it's nice to see Pepper was there still.
Yep.
And then when Scott came alive.
Yes.
And he's he immediately finds like Cassie.
Which one? Sorry, it bugs me how old she was. That didn't match.
That didn't match.
Like,
yeah.
she's like
She
a
was,
kid in Ant-Man and the
Yeah,
Wasp.
she's
And
like a fully grown.
she's not 5 years older in that movie.
No,
like, she was
it's
maybe
only-
like
she
7
should
or
have
8
been,
in
like,
Ant-Man and the
10,
Wasp. Yeah.
She should have been 10
10
because
to
she was
12.
like 5.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was
really
like
young.
5 to 7,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. She looked like she was
She
like
did not
full
fight
blown
like a
teenager,
12.
like any
Yeah.
college student. I
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
like,
oh wait,
wait,
that's
how much time
Cassie.
did
We're
not
not
that
that
pass.
old.
No,
like,
not that much time
Yeah,
passed.
In like a kid Avengers movie, and I know she's gonna be in it.
Ah.
The guy from Captain.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Frick,
guy.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
She's
I know.
Bishop.
Yeah, I like Kate.
I love Kate.
I love Kate. She's really nice.
Because they set like Hawkeye up.
Oh yeah,
and-
Young Avengers. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the whole.
that's what they're called.
Yeah.
Because they set up like in New York, that one scene in 2012 that sets up Loki and then also sets up Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, and then in Loki with like Kid Loki, he's a part of the Young Avengers too, right? Yeah.
Loki.
Yeah.
I really need to catch up on my movies.
There's a lot to catch up on. Any last thoughts, Amber?
Oh God, I feel like this movie was insane.
So much happened in it.
No, like I had to like read a timeline of what happened because it was like 3 hours. Because it feels like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It is.
And then the ending, the ending actually does set up everything for Phase 4.
Yeah.
Like every single TV show and the movies as well, especially with like Wanda's character and how she's like coping with Vision, because like she goes on to do like Westview and
And
a bunch of other stuff.
Watching this movie, I felt like I came to the end. I still have multiple
An end of
episodes.
an
We still
era.
got 2 Spider-Mans. The second and third Spider-Man. We have Shang-Chi and we have Eternals that we still need to do episodes for. But I feel like this was kind of the end for me.
Eternals was a pretty
I
good movie.
I
Actually.
felt closure. I
Yeah,
felt
I
a
felt
little
closure.
emotion. Not like I didn't cry over Tony Dunn, but just like I felt like this chapter.
I sobbed.
22 movies.
I didn't like I said, avid, Tony Stark hate,
yeah.
but something in me, like it was really like an ending of an era,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I feel like
So with
anyone
that,
dying.
where do we put Endgame within our own kind of, rankings of these movies?
it's like top 5 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Top
Top 5.
5.
But Infinity War's on top.
Yeah, and I enjoyed Infinity War way more than Endgame actually.
So that's a good segue for where I ended up here. So I mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy I think is number 10 of the 27. This is 22. So that held the number 1 spot for me personally for like 10, 11 weeks. Then we did Ragnarok. Ragnarok jumped up
Yeah,
to 2.
it's
I really like Ragnarok.
Oh, that was so funny.
It was so funny.
And then Infinity War became my new number 1 last week. Because Infinity War, I agree,
It's a
Infinity
really good
War
movie.
is better
Than Endgame.
than a better movie. I think the fan service in this, I think the closure of this, I think all that, I think that like lifts up Endgame. Endgame is just unique in that way. But for me, I think I'm gonna put in. I think I'm gonna go number 2. I don't know. I always think it's just hard to judge team. I'll call them the team movies versus the individual movies. But I think I'll end up at number 2 with Infinity War number 1. You want to see? This is where I've kind of ended up now. So now Guardians has moved down to 4. I got Infinity War 1, Endgame 2, Ragnarok 3, Guardians 4. I bounce around between Civil War and the original Avengers and Black Panther. Actually, I think I actually think I messed up my list. I think Black Panther is number 5.
yeah,
I'm gonna go back and look at that.
Doctor Strange is a little low there.
Doctor Strange
really?
was so Doctor Strange was fine. You know what
I liked
happens?
the
Push
movie.
it down.
You know what
Push it
happens?
down more.
A lot of
Hold
times with these movies is just like they end up places just because they're not bad, but I think there are
Yeah,
others
just, like,
that are
better.
better,
Okay.
Yeah.
and that just happens there. So, big episode.
Big episode.
Big news.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And we're going to put Endgame at number 2. But yeah, I feel a little bit of sadness, even with the last 4. I'll be sad when our season is over. But I think I kind of reached some closure here. But as we all talk about these shows, I think we will be back for season 2 next school year to talk about the TV shows.
Sign me up.
Yes, you
So-
already know I'm there for that.
So that'll be going out.
Summer watching it.
So we are the 27. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. Spotify, Anchor. We're on Instagram at the 27THHS. This will be going up on the Classic Instagram. Go to the Classic Instagram page, but also on the YouTube channel. We have our wonderful producer Jess here with us today, filming Letterboxd to see the rankings, which will put Endgame at number 2.
Letterboxd?
You taught me about Letterboxd. By the way, if this lets me know that she's never really listened to any of the episodes, because the amount of times I name dropped Amber, because I would ask the guests, I would be like, do you know Letterboxd? Only one person has ever known what it was, but I always follow it up with, one of our guests, Amber, taught me about it. So we have our live 27 Letterboxd going, updated to have Endgame at number 2. Operation Tomato Meter, still going strong. We got a bunch of episodes out. We'll be back next year for Tomato Meter, right? We'll have a couple new hosts.
Sign up if you want to be a producer. Here, I'll get on.
The classic.
Good,
Talk to us since you're here. Actually, you're gonna hear that in your ear. Just talk to us about the classic critic.
Okay,
Go
so
on.
exciting new project. I and another Operation Tomato Meter producer, Jasmine, will be the editors-in-chief and also the creators of this new publication called The Critic. And basically, Operation Tomato Meter and the 27 are going to be under this publication. And we're looking for you to sign up to be a producer, a scriptwriter, a host in Operation Tomato Meter, and also the 27. Not a host, because you can't replace Mr. McCaughey, but producer, and if Mr. McCaughey wants, a scriptwriter.
Everyone is welcome to come help us. It's exciting. I think this year, between Tomato Meter and the 27, we had some good things going, and now we will have another one ready to go for, by the way, as you sit here in front of me, your senior year.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We are only a few weeks away from the end of the school year, and y'all are going to be seniors next year, so that's exciting.
I'm having senioritis as a
You just have junioritis right now. You just have post-AP life right now.
Yeah.
So go sign up. Is there an email for that, or how to get in touch for the Classic Critic?
Just Mr. Sweeney sent out an email to all the underclassmen, freshmen, sophomore, juniors. You all have it in your inbox. Go to your inbox, look up Mr. Sweeney, and you will find it, and you have the opportunity to be a part of many, many different things. It is completely open. It's a new publication, so we can create and do whatever we want, and whatever you offer, we will most likely take it.
That's it. Cool. Well, that's it for us. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for jumping in, Jess, at the last second and producing. Amber, Chayti, Adeola. I appreciate you coming in this big historic episode. So thanks for coming in. And we will see everyone next week on the 27th. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.